How goes it?
It goes.
It goes, doesn't it?
It does go. Mets almost blew a fucking 9-0 lead.
Hmm. I'm assuming that. Wait, this is baseball, right? Yeah, Mets.
That's correct. Yeah.
That seems very hard to do because how much of a process it is to get a score in
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah. They played a 7 inning game against the Nationals, and they were up 9 to not a fucking thing in the fourth. And then the
Oh.
Nationals came all the way back to tie it up at the end of regulation. And then it went to extra innings and the Mets won.
Hmm. That's
See, this is
they almost choked.
yeah, it's weird because like so I've officially adopted the Brewers as my bandwagon team for this season, as I mentioned I think last episode.
Yeah.
Um, but the Mets have won, what is this, one, two, three, four, five, 6 games in a row,
Yeah.
and they're I think yeah they're back above 500 now with this most recent win. So like they're they could have been good all along. They started off hot. They could have continued to be hot if they would have just kept their shit together.
Hmm.
Or I almost wish they would just like fuck off and die. Like suck and just be completely gone. But they're like holding on to the hope that they could actually win their division or make playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's I know they're not going to.
Yeah.
But every win I'm like they could.
False hope.
They could.
Yeah. That's how it usually. That's how it starts, and then throughout the time it slowly
This shit sucks and I hate it.
the will to keep continuing the following of that team erodes away slowly over time. I
Yeah.
come from experience.
Yeah.
Uh, Besides your heart being tugged at by your baseball team, what else happened to you this week?
Not not really a whole lot's actually happened this week. I think you mentioned it like last week or the week before about how like throughout the rest of the school year, a lot of our weekly recaps are just gonna
Yeah,
be. So I had class.
class happened
Yeah, that's
pretty
basically
much.
it, really.
Yeah.
Had a lot of class.
I mean, the only notable thing I can think of is we recorded our first session of verses,
That's
and so that can
correct.
be expected in the future there.
I like how last episode we were like, "Ooh, we're not gonna mention it. We're gonna keep it a secret." And this episode, you're just like, "Yeah, this is what it is."
Well, that's I've only given the name really. That it's such a it's like, oh yeah, our first episode of I don't like it could be so much different things just with that title. Like
Okay.
it gives you like a good direction, but not a. And we already dropped the name. I actually know because I was skimming through episodes to do the little. Um,
Mm,
you know how I like section off the video in the timeline.
yeah.
I have to like skim through the episode to do that, and we did name drop it, but
Mm,
that's the only thing is we given is the name. The concept itself, you have to wait and see until that gets released. Hopefully, at the end of next week, I think around the
yeah.
time we record the next one, not the one we're currently recording. Because I got to start doing some school stuff. But
Yeah.
besides that,
Content.
really, yeah, nothing interesting this week. That in my life.
Yeah.
um, the woes of a college student. You don't do much outside of school and sitting around not at school. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
how it is.
It is just how it is. It's kind of creating the content is a good break from that. It's a good thing to have happening
Yeah.
outside the schoolwork. Makes me feel like, I'm still getting shit done and just bashing my head against a wall, like school feels like for the most
Yeah.
part.
School's a mundane grind. This feels more like a I feel like it feels like a development. Each time we release a new episode, it just feels like it's building,
Mm-hmm.
like creating this mass of content under the name of the brand. And
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of that feeling of like we're amassing a backlog, and it feels like constant. It's like a pyramid in my eyes. Like it just each brick has supports another brick on top of it. That kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's less of like a what am I doing this for? Well, an abstract concept of graduation. You have a title
Yeah.
that you did this thing in the past. Like
Yeah.
that's a piece of paper to prove it, but I guess the title itself is the important part. I could be able to say like I'm a graduate, which is a fancy term, but
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
how it
College is
be.
kind of fucky.
It's kind of cringe, not gonna lie. I use that word way too much. I need to start expanding my vocabulary. I've
Yeah.
started to talk more, and I think it's because the vocabulary of like the youth is decreasing. And
Yes.
I'm not
Absolutely.
necessarily part of that group. I'm kind of starting to break away. Once you're at our age, we kind of start to like break away. We're gonna eventually start being like it was better back then kind of stuff. Like
I'm already there, but yeah.
it's like it amplifies like you can feel these fucking kids doing the dumb shit that kids do.
Yeah.
But I'm still connected enough to be influenced by like vocabulary, and it's declining. My vocabulary is just melting away and turning into like, yo, that's bussin' and cringe
Mm-hmm.
and the shits, finna, fam.
You know.
Like it's eroding it away.
Yeah. This might be a good opportunity
What was
for
that?
me trying to find. Listen, my brain no worky, but
Understandable.
this might be a good opportunity for you to get a bit better about that sort of stuff and about more getting your ideas across a little more eloquently because we do this once a week, an hour where you just talk.
It's a
Might be
battle.
good practice.
It's a battle between everyday life and its negative influence on my vocabulary, and this, which is essentially a vocabulary exercise. So
Yeah.
it's a battle of tugging me,
Hmm.
whichever way I'm being yanked either way, and I don't know if a weekly hour session is going to be enough to make me stop saying bussin' because I love
That's
saying bussin'. I
that's why
really
we gotta make more content.
more content.
More
We're kind of
content.
doing a lot. Like it feels slow if you're watching from the outside. You're like uploads on the channel.
Mm.
It's relatively slow, but like especially now we started recording other stuff. It's like each day, for at least on my end, I don't know how often you're thinking about it or planning things. I can't speak for you,
Frequently.
but I'm very commonly like, okay, I'm laying out my schedule. Okay, I had to do this. Oh, we started this. Now I got to do that. And the reason you don't see that is because I'm still working on it. So
Mhm.
it's in the back. Whenever I have time, I'm opening up programs, making shit, editing stuff, and
Yeah, so if anyone wants to
yeah.
become a full-time editor for the
Oh yeah.
Halfway to Concord channel content
I'll
mill,
pay you in cryptocurrency.
I won't pay you in anything.
My
But then,
cryptocurrency Drew
thank you.
coin. I'm launching it tomorrow. Drew coin. It's worth
Drew coin.
1/1000th of a penny.
Can I buy 1,000 shares of a
Uh,
Drew coin?
yeah, I'll mail you them. I'll mail you the
All right,
Drew coin.
I'll mail you that penny.
Yeah. No.
Also,
Well, yeah. They'll take. Yeah. I'll need that penny first.
it'll
It's like
cost me more in shipping, but
no, because everyone's in on it. They know. Oh, you're buying Drew coin.
hmm
You don't even do it. And the best thing is, I'm inventing this new thing. It's a physical version of a cryptocurrency, right? So
Oh,
it's a
okay.
cryptocurrency with a physical version. And another cool thing, it's actually backed by gold.
Oh,
So
really?
so yeah, so it's a cryptocurrency that exists in physical form and it's backed by gold and it's like this paper note. It's about this big with my
Sure.
face on it doing like a thumbs up kind of like your flag, right?
Okay, yeah.
And instead of dollar signs, it's a D with two lines.
Is uh
And
is is Drew coin going to be the official currency of Mars after we colonate?
Yeah, because I think
on
we'll advance enough to use crypto as a main, as a main source there.
physical crypto.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's a new thing, right? And it's never been done before, right? A physical currency backed by gold. It's never been done. You know,
Never been done.
never. So
Seems like a
like
bad idea. Seems like one of those ideas that's going to work for a little bit until it gets mass produced and then you stop backing it by gold.
see what you're supposed to do, right, is keep making it, and then when you run out, you just make more, and
Yeah.
eventually you just say it's backed by gold, but it actually isn't.
Mm,
You know, like you get what I'm saying? Like the people don't care as
maybe.
long as it works, right?
That's a weird concept. I don't know if that would actually ever work.
You know, there's a first time for everything,
Yeah,
and I think
I guess.
that it's especially in an entertainment sphere and a media sphere, it's our job to start pushing the envelope and innovate on products and currencies and content in general. And I think
Sure.
DrewCoin is a step forward for society as a whole. Really, I think it really will
Yeah.
change how we do business in the world. So
Interesting.
thanks.
Interesting.
If you want to be a backer of DrewCoin, all you have to do is like and subscribe on the podcast, and you get put in a system, right? And another cool thing about DrewCoin is when you'll get a big pamphlet, and it goes, if you get other people to sell DrewCoin too, you get paid a certain amount of DrewCoin, and it just kind of works its way up, you know, and. It's flawless. It's never been done before. I really think I'm pushing the envelope. I really think I'm innovating a system that is quite frankly out of date and could use some work.
This is the most layered bit we've ever created.
What do you mean? It's not a bit. This is real.
That caught me by surprise so hard. The fucking pyramid scheme, true coin.
It's
Uh,
it's like that office bit where it's like, here's me, right? And then here's you guys. You guys go, that's a pyramid scheme. No, it's not. And they trace it, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's.
I'm gonna nod and pretend I know what you're talking about. I've never
I've
seen The
I've
Office.
actually never watched either. I saw the clip on YouTube, but
Mm,
it's a funny clip. They like
yeah, yeah.
anyway. Trust me, it's funny. Transitioning from that, I would like to ask a simple question.
Yes. I'll give you a simple and or complex answer.
If you were stranded, sorry, the reason I
Sure.
was thinking of it was because I had a couple ideas, and one of them I realized in that moment wouldn't work. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
If you were stranded on an island, okay.
Yes.
Here's a hypothet. It's a hypothetical. Okay, I should have prefaced
I
that.
have gathered as
Yes,
much,
yes, I'm sure you did. But so you're on a plane.
yeah. Hmm.
Plane crashes. You're on an island like Lost. It's not the
Okay.
Lost Island, but the same concept where you crash and the people who didn't die on the plane crash are now sitting on that island. It's like 10
Yes.
people. A perfect like snapshot of America population. It's like a sample size of that, like whatever
Okay.
averages are them, just standard people.
Yes.
And in the plane, you realize there is two or three people who are qualified in different skills, like they're skilled at different things. You're on a
Yep.
it's like a standard like small forest. It's like a really small island. So it's like a small forest surrounded by beaches with a cliff. Kind of like the the Total Drama Island cliff.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
But it's
Now
small,
you're speaking my
it's
language.
tropical, but it's
You're
like
bringing up The Office and Lost, and
there's the
I was lost myself, but now I'm with you.
that silhouette of that cliff is the cliff shape where it's
Sure.
like, but it's like scaled down and it's too steep to climb. It's like a
Okay.
micro cliff, but that it's at the center, and then there's a small
You're
forest, like
doing a lot
really
of
small.
world building
I
for this
know,
hypothetical.
because usually when I don't, you start to like ask a bunch of questions and it rips it apart. So I'm kind of okay.
You're
So
really ruining the experience here, but all right, go ahead.
there's the forest around the beach with the beach around it, small island, plane crashed, kind of in the water, and then you swam on the shore. 10 people.
Okay.
Of the 10 people, one person broke their leg.
Yes.
Another person broke their arm.
Kill him and eat him. Sorry, continue.
And the third person, they broke their leg, but they broke their femur. So one broke the other part of their leg, so like the lower bit.
Yeah.
One broke the femur, the top bit, and the other person broke like this bone here. Not this one, this one.
Okay.
And they're not like a fracture, it's like flopping. Like
Okay.
it is movement, independent
It
movement.
is broke.
Yeah, it's broke, not like a crack. All three of them are like this.
Okay.
The person who broke the lower bit of their leg says, "Hey, on the boat, there is..."
The boat?
Not the boat, sorry. Yes, the boat. No. On the plane that crashed, there should be medical supplies.
Okay.
I will go get it. Because I used to be a swimmer. I'll go swim because it's in the water, submerged a bit.
Okay.
But since my leg is broken, I need someone to go with me to help me. Because it's the lower bit of their leg. It's not the top one. No one volunteers. And everyone looks at you. At you.
Yeah.
The question is, will you go with them? And do you think you could help?
Okay, first of all, how far down? Is it like submerged, or is it reasonable that
the part the part that is important is submerged. It's like you can see the top of the plane. Okay. But like it's only like the cusp of the top. So like everything you will have, if there's any air in there, it's like you have to like do this.
But there is air in there where I can get to.
Yes, but not in the spot you need to go. So it's
sure. You need to go down under the water.
You need to go under the water, and it's like in like the cargo bit because they're not going to bring a bunch of medical supplies in their carry-on. So it's in the cargo bit. But the top bit, the passenger spot has air pockets. You can barely get any air, but it's there. But you need to go through this hatch to go into the lower area that has no air. And it's dark, obviously, and you don't have flashlights, and you have to find medical supplies. And those people with the broken, like this bit and this bit, that's very serious damage, and they will die if they don't get medical supplies. And you have to help someone who's also crippled. Would you do it?
Yes, I would, and I have two main reasons why.
Okay.
Reason number one is I do think I could genuinely do it. I am a very good swimmer. It's one of the few athletic aspects of myself that I'm very proud of. I did swimming lessons from when I was like 5 years old until I was like 15 or 16. I'm a good swimmer. I can hold my breath for a little while, so I do reasonably think that I could do it. But the second and more important part of why I would do it is because of these 10 people, all of them look to me to be the one to do it.
Yes, for no reason.
If I say no,
you're the asshole.
I'm an asshole, and I lose all sort of power in that position.
Yes.
If I do it, then I am immediately established as the top dog of the group, especially if we successfully get it, save the lives of those two people.
Yes.
I will gain a loyal right hand in the guy I helped go do it, and I will gain the respect and sort of the favor of everybody in the group who will now see me as the leader of the group.
Good answer. I tried to make it simple despite my long and complex explanation. I just wanted to do that to set some like baseline. I was trying to think of some cool ones before this, and that was the only one
You set up the whole island, and we never even did anything on the island.
I had this mental image. I'm like, it'd be cool to explain the mental image of the island. It's unimportant. It's really just a short like, to save two people's lives, would you risk your life to swim in water? Because I know water, especially like you're in a dark environment, you cannot see because it's underwater. It's a crashed plane, a metal tomb. and you have to go into the spot that has no air access. It's like a little square, because I know I've seen them on planes where it's like this little hatch that goes into the lower area.
Mm-hmm.
It's about like this, I think, but square. And you'd have to go in there, swim around to find it by feel.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's full down there. Like,
I feel
honestly,
I,
it's
I
probably an
think
impossible task at the end of
I
the
mean
day.
I don't think it would be because I don't I think I'd be relatively good under pressure in that situation. I think I could go under and I think I could take a day where it's like, okay, I'll get my air at this little spot, go in, feel around. If I don't get it, I can get back to the hatch, get some more air, and keep doing that. And I feel comfortable that I would be able to do that for an entire day, basically.
Mm. Yeah, I figured you'd do that.
Yeah. And like if I'm planning on being there for a while, not only will that the leadership role be important so that I could help steer everyone in the right direction and it's not just an ego thing. It's an ego thing, but not for ego's sake. It's an ego thing in the regards that I feel like I would rather be someone who has uh, a genuine say in what goes on because I think I would react a bit better than a lot of people would, the average person.
Hmm.
And saving the lives of two people, that's 20% of that group. Those are extra bodies that we really might need.
Yeah, if they survive, I mean, at the end of the day, it's wet medical supplies,
True, they still might
bandages. You could make
fail. But
splints. They probably either way they're disfigured for life because you can't get it to heal properly. They're gonna be all funky and weird. But
yeah,
I mean,
but I
they
mean,
wouldn't
yeah,
die. I guess I don't know how useful they'd be, especially the femur. That's a big one. That's a tough one to fix there.
yeah. The person who could still the person with the broken arm could still be pretty useful to keep
Yes,
around.
because they have one perfectly fine arm.
Yeah, so they could still be useful in that regard. And I mean, the person with the broken leg would still be useful because they have two working hands that they could still like
Yeah,
use. Especially if we can just allocate all the menial tasks to them, like cleaning fish we caught or crafting small items that we need or shit like that.
yeah. Um,
Or if they die anyway, we could eat them.
I don't think anyone would eat them. You may.
You underestimate a human's determination to live.
There's a lot of cases of people eating each other, but I feel like that's like, especially if they die. Say they die like, say you fail and they die like 2 days in, 2 3 days in of like internal bleeding or something.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen because they're going to. I'm not. We're not going to get to the point where we're ready to eat people before they become inedible.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think if they die, because they're not gonna like because that's a very serious injury because those are integral parts of your body. There's big blood vessels in this part and down there, and
Mhm.
if there's a bone that's like moving around in there, you're gonna fuck shit up. They're gonna
Yeah,
get hurt. They're gonna mess up, and they will most likely die, especially with no medical assistance. They would die too fast for anyone to be like, okay, let's eat people. Because
yeah,
by
but
that point,
but
by the point anyone wants to eat people, they'll be all nasty.
if we get the medical supplies and we can keep them alive for a little bit and then they die,
Then it's
we can
more
eat.
reasonable. But how long can you get them to live any longer? And how long are people going? When are people going to like jump from eating grass, or I don't know, bark or whatever it's growing? And I don't know what's growing in this forest. It's a tropical environment. That's what I
I have a
stated.
question
So
for you.
whatever grows there. What
That's
would I eat
very
people?
opposite.
No.
You would never eat people. You'd sooner die than
Uh,
eat them.
well, it depends on the situation. It's I think everyone would say it depends. Well, no, a person who's lying would say never.
Okay, yeah.
A person who's lying would say never. But a person who's not lying would say it depends. So
Okay,
I would not kill someone to eat them. If someone died, if
sure.
we had no food, like say it's a boat situation. You're on a little raft in the middle of the ocean. And the
Yeah.
only way you're getting water is like you caught it in your shirt when it was raining and filtered it into like a glass jar you conveniently had or something, and then
Hmm.
you had to share that amongst like three people, and one of them like died of exposure and you had no food, and it's like getting to like the, isn't it? Is it 3 weeks without food?
It's they
Three
say it's
days
3
without
weeks,
water, 3 weeks without food, and
3 minutes without air.
3 minutes without air.
But the thing is, that's like not actually strictly true. You could probably go for longer than 3 weeks without food. I mean, people have done it.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
but yes, generally about 3 weeks without food, and you're going to be on death's door.
I'm I probably in that scenario if I really wanted to like stick it out, because you have to also be like you have to be in that mindset that you can't get in until you're actually there. So
Sure.
like I would have to, the only reason I would eat a person is if I think there's a possibility that staying alive any longer would benefit me in any way.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, if we're in the middle of the ocean and there's almost no chance of any, because boats go in straight lines, and they can only see so far. So like the chance of someone seeing you is very slim. I would
Mm.
have to be like, what's the odds of us being rescued at any time? And do I at least want to die with my like my pride intact? It's
Okay.
one of those things.
Here's how I know we're fundamentally different people. I have no that thought right there of dying with like
I
pride
wouldn't
and
say it's pride, it's more like
yeah, but like
feeling
what
good
I
about myself.
yeah, that dying feeling good about how you lived and you know the decisions you make towards the end. I don't have that like thought process to
You
like
you have no
I don't
limits.
I will I and it's not I don't know. I feel like I would cut off my arm and eat my arm before I just give
Oh,
up and die.
oh, I probably would do that too, but I don't see that as a bad thing because that's
I
my
oh
own self. That's impacting me and no one else, so I
I
see
see
no
that as
issue.
far more extreme than eating another human being.
No, because like you could start with a finger, right? Think about this finger and all the flesh around it. That's a
Yeah,
decent amount of calories.
there wouldn't be much on mine.
If skin, blood,
Yes, I
muscle,
get.
you could suck the wound, get the blood out. Any little thing you get in your body, it'll benefit you and extend it just a little bit. So I'd probably start with fingers before
Okay,
if
here's
yeah.
sorry. Yeah, here's the like line that I would get to like when am I getting to the point where I'm willing to eat people? I would wait just as long as it takes for other people to start questioning. Because if I'm the first one to be
You
like,
look
all
like a
right, let's eat him, I look
weirdo.
like a weirdo. I lose all credibility as a leader. I am like I'm fucked in terms of the power dynamic of this island. But if I
Yeah.
get to the point where I'm like, people are starting to be like, there's a dead body here. I'm really hungry. If I'm the one who's like, we have to do what we got to do to survive, and people are like, yeah, okay, I'll eat with you. Then it's like, then it reaffirms my status as the leader.
I feel like it's more device, especially like a larger group. I think both sides have a more likely chance of happening because mob mentality and all that. Like
Mhm.
everyone, I think every person in a solo scenario or like an extremely small group of like 2 or 3 people, like 1 or 2 people, like at most, including the person themselves, 3 people. That
Mhm.
is more of like you'd be more like selfish in that scenario because there's less impact on that. Like as humans, we have that like please the group mentality because in ancient times you didn't do that. You get kicked out and eaten by wolves. So like
Yeah.
there's the please the group mentality there. But I think it'd be smaller there. But if you're in like a group of like 10, 15, maybe even like 20 people, a group, like a significant amount of people, in that scenario, there'd be people whose instinct to survive will be stronger, and people's instinct to please the group will be stronger. So it'll
Hmm.
create two factions of yes, I need to do whatever I can to survive, and no, I'll die with my dignity or start eating myself or plants and shit. And so
Yeah.
these two groups will start, and then eventually they'll just eat themselves, not literally, but eat each other alive, just kill each other, and
Yeah. That's why anyone who says they're like, I'm not gonna eat another person, you just cut their legs off and say, okay, eat yourself. We'll eat the other people. Okay, but actually though, if there was like if we can reasonably get food elsewhere on the island, like if we have the means to hunt animals or fish,
yeah,
then yeah, I'm not gonna eat someone.
yeah. Also, it's
But
just gross as a cunt. Like I don't know, it's just Ugh,
That's another difference.
ugh.
I don't think it's that bad as a concept. Not saying I do agree that it is very morally wrong
I
and that it's
understand where you're coming
not
from.
something I want to do ever in any circumstances. But to me, I see death as being like death is a very black and white issue for me. And it's like when someone dies, I no longer see that person as like a person.
You're starting to get into like, oh, this is a serial killer in a TV show, and he has like some like manifesto about I see death as a evolution.
No, no, stop,
I'm waiting for
stop.
you to start going like it perfects a man.
No, 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 stop that.
I'm
I, I'm
joking.
I try my best to be a very good person under normal circumstances. I believe life has value. I believe when someone dies, the concept of them being a person fades because at that point what makes them them is gone. They at
Yeah,
that point are just a mass of flesh and bone.
yeah,
And I feel the same way about me. So I don't I, when it's I don't see it as like that going back to the issue of like dying with feeling good about your morality and the decisions you've made. I don't see it like that because I think when I die, I don't feel like I'm gonna have that moment where I'm like, was I a good person?
well, I won't.
Can I
I,
can I be pleased with this death?
I feel like you only experience that. You only get the like the experience of like reflection when you're dying of like old age in a bed or maybe illness in a bed. But in like a very like a moment of like survival, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
your last thought will be that. But it's more of like a, as I said, you don't know until you're in that scenario. So like I said, oh, I'd probably want to eat myself first because I don't want to like feel gross about it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's me in my scenario, in my point of view, at not ever having those issues.
Yeah.
But in an actual scenario where I'm given that decision, I don't know. I can't tell you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we
But
just
I
it's
can tell you
hypothetical.
how I think now, and I think
Yeah.
now, if for some reason I was have this calm state of mind in that scenario, I think I would be like, uh, nah, it's a little, I don't know about that, Chief.
Mhm.
that's,
Yeah.
that's a, oh no, I'll take the L on this one. I'll take the fatty L on that. Like,
Yeah.
but when we were talking, I was given the initial hypothetical. I was also thinking of like, what is it? How confident are you in your ability to survive in a survival scenario?
Very.
Okay.
I think a lot of it is kind of in line with what we've been talking about. I think a lot of it's mentality.
Yeah.
I think I have the mentality of someone who like
Do you have
I
the know-how? Because you could
that's
be, oh, you could be, hold on, I'm gonna get through this, guys, and then you don't know how to make a fire with nothing, and well, it doesn't
I
matter
can
how good you are with being up
I
on it, you're gonna
well
starve.
yeah, but I think it's a combination of I guess it's knowledge. Do you know the things you need to know to make it through each day?
Hmm.
Are you physically capable of of
Performing those
doing
feats.
these tasks, performing these tasks, and do you have that state of mind where you're willing to do whatever it takes to keep going?
I think there's a fourth, and that's environment. Because
Well, I
like
mean, yeah, but
you can, I feel like there's some environments where it doesn't matter. Like if you're
well,
in a
yeah,
desert, you're kind of fucked, bro. Like,
well,
no, what are you gonna eat? Spiders?
cactuses.
I don't think you can. I think they have like a lot of them have enzymes and stuff that fuck with you.
Some do, some don't. That's where
You're
it goes
gonna
back to
find out the
knowledge.
hard way. Yeah, I
No, if
guess.
you know going into
Which,
the desert.
beside, you can't pick the woods in the United States because that's too easy. Which environment would you choose in a survival scenario? You can't
An
choose
island.
like North America woods because that's way too easy.
Uh, an island, preferably not like a tropical one, because tropical ones have a lot of poisonous animals and a
Yes,
lot of shit that I
scary
don't want to
bugs.
deal with. Scary bugs.
Yeah, and spiders.
Um, like an island that you kind of just described would probably be my ideal. Like,
A small forest island.
yeah, a forest island with relatively shallow water immediately off the coast, because like you said, the plane is like submerged, but there's a portion of it that's
Yeah, you know, I don't know if you've ever been like on the ocean, but there's a lot of portions around like islandy areas.
yeah,
The ocean itself doesn't get too deep because that's how there's so many islands in that area.
yeah.
Usually it's like at the most
That
like
would
10,
be
15 feet in those areas.
my sort of preferred location for
Honestly,
if I
same.
had to do a
Because
survival
like
situation.
you have infinite fish. There's never not gonna be fish. There's always them. Because
Yeah,
you could hypothetically hunt everything out of that island, especially if it's kind of small. There might not even be any significant land animals. There might be
yeah.
birds and maybe like depending on where you are, like rodents. Uh,
That's there's another like there's an element to it that's like if there's animals around the area, like a significant wildlife ecosystem,
mhm.
there's going to be dead animals,
Carrion.
and I can eat dead animals.
You would eat like rotting flesh.
I mean, one, if I absolutely had to, but two, like
It would kill you though. You can't do that. Humans can't withstand that. You would die. It's literally like poison at that point.
if I had literally no other option, I would. It might die
Well, then you
because of
would
it.
die. Not might, you would. There's
Might.
in when a body decomposes, there's it starts releasing things and things start going in it from like nature that like start becoming poison. It's kind of like if you started drinking like stagnant water. If you drank stagnant water in this island, it was like a pond or a puddle, you
Mhm.
will die like 2 days later of like dysentery because
Yeah,
it's that
those
toxic. It's
those
literally
people
poison.
are like respect to everyone who's been put in that situation, but I'm built different, so
You're built different. You'll survive drinking stagnant water.
I would never drink stagnant water because there's other ways to get water. But
I
like
mean, yeah,
rotting flesh, I could eat rotting flesh and be fine. I can power through it.
you're gonna
I've
power
got
through
I've gotten
essentially poison.
I've gotten food poisoning before. I think I can manage rotting flesh.
I feel like it would be, man, this really sucks, and then you'd go to sleep and not wake up. It would be like the feelings of food poison, but then you would not wake up in the morning after a night's sleep.
Nah, I got it. Power through it.
Sure, you're built different.
I'm built different.
I kind of want to extend this. I'm really enjoying the survival
Yeah, me
topics.
too.
Uh, right now, we're recording this podcast. You hear stuff bouncing around you.
Hey, be careful.
No, I clicked off this time, but
Okay.
it's happening. Blah 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 blah. You hear like booming and bringing.
I
You
hear
hear
booming.
commotion, and people running around, and you hear all of a sudden power goes out, and there's stuff happening. You're in a rural area, so it's less people running around and more power goes out, and you can't get a hold of anything. So me, I would hear running around. I'd hear stuff because I'm in a urban
Yeah.
environment, but you look outside, you see nothing. And once again, I don't think you'd see much, but I see zombies. It's a zombie apocalypse.
I have other. I'm not in the middle of
You
bumfuck
showed me
nowhere.
video of your place, and it's like there's nothing near you.
Yeah, okay, but it's because I'm on the absolute outskirts of the town I live in. There's
Yeah, but
a
why would the
town of,
zombies
like-
come towards you at that point? You'd have to go into town to see the zombies, so you wouldn't see anything from your like window.
Well, I have a highway right next to me. I could probably see zombies walking across.
Well, it's like just happened, like 7 hours ago. It started.
Okay.
And it started in a city near the nearest city to you.
Okay.
In this
like big city?
hypothetical, it started in the cities, just all at the same time. And
The
the
nearest
zombies.
big city?
There's zombies. They've
Yes,
reached
but
your
I'm
town.
asking you, does it start in my town or the nearest
It
big
starts
city?
well. It started 7 hours ago in the big city, and it's reached your town.
Okay.
There's zombies coming. There's zombies. Can
I
you
like zombies.
survive
That's a
in a
concept,
zombie
not really.
apocalypse? Oh yes, same.
Well.
Could you survive in a zombie apocalypse? And the zombies are like Walking Dead zombies, like
Well,
slow.
if
walking
they are
around.
Walking Dead zombies, I will survive to the end of time until I die of old.
Until the end of time, all of a sudden become immortal, lives until the universe collapses on itself.
Not what I meant. Not what I meant. If they are
Yes.
Walking Dead zombies, I would survive until I die of old age.
Do you think you actually would? Like, no cap?
110%.
I
I
feel like
think
it starts easy, I think. I think it actually gets harder when you have to it's less of the zombies and more of the dudes wanting to kill you
that
for
would be
like
the whole thing because
other
the zombies
issues.
would prove almost no threat to me because like listen, I'm not the most athletic person. I have enough cardio to briskly walk faster
Yeah,
than the
that's
zombies.
I always found that like in zombie media, like this guy like doesn't hear the shambling corpse behind
Yeah,
him. Like in what universe do you not? They're always going, "Ugh," and there would just be
yeah,
noises happen. You'd hear like footsteps and shuffling. You got to be like you have to have no situational awareness. You have to
yeah.
be like there. You are in your own universe.
I can climb a fucking tree to sleep in, and then in the morning, like, start climbing down, jump like 4 feet away, and just start walking away
Yeah, and they wouldn't be able to.
because they
I mean,
won't be able to catch me.
they could like do that lunge where they kind of fall towards you. That's the only like ranged attack that they have.
Ranged attack.
If your footsies are right, you'll get some.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I got my movements on point. I know how to slide cancel. I'm good.
Yeah, you get out of there. I always
I would.
thought it'd be like, I wish there was like, I wish we were in 20 years, 30 years in the future, and they had like VR technology that would like put you in it and you feel everything, and it's
Mhm.
just hypothetical zombie outbreak, and you have to last as long as physically possible. And I always would love to try that out as like a fun
I
little
think
thing.
I think we'll get close. I mean, we're already at the point where there's like you can get strapped up into the suit
Yeah, well, that's
and like run and walk and stuff.
fringe, but yeah, it's very experimental and prototypey. But yes,
But I think we're getting there. Is the point I'm trying to make.
yeah,
Anyway, back to the zombie hypothetical. Like you said, it would come down to dealing with other people
yeah.
and the madness that they could bring.
Most likely
Um,
unable to be reasoned with. Usually, you're not gonna talk a
it,
dude who wants to kill you for your beans down from killing you for your beans.
I think
He's made the
one,
decision.
I think I could,
I'll give you
but
half the beans. He's like, no, bitch, I want all.
it's like okay, like
Fine, take the
eat the
beans.
beans,
Goddamn, bro.
and then I'm gonna kill you and take my beans back.
Well, he's got like I don't know, a gun. He's got a pistol.
I will have a gun too.
Oh well, you shoot him.
If it starts right now, right here, like I have guns in the house because
I
my family.
don't. I'm
I
in
live
an
out in the middle of
apartment,
nowhere. Yeah,
but I have. I mean,
but
I have a kniff.
we have
That's
we
it.
have we have machetes. We have rifles. We have like not assault rifles. We have like hunting rifles.
Yeah,
We have shotguns because we live out in the middle of almost nowhere.
yeah. I
So
mean,
like I will have
yeah,
guns too.
yeah. I think the threat of people's less individual wanting to kill you for beans and more a band of people who are just essentially pillaging.
Yeah, I think there would definitely be lots of groups of people that are just like, I can do whatever I want now. Time to go out and murder a bunch of people.
Murder,
Probably,
kill,
probably.
steal, do all the bad
But
stuff.
here's the good thing about that. I I'm white. Uh,
What?
no, listen. I'm a white. I'm white. I'm not obviously effeminate, so I can't be pinpointed as like a sexuality. I think a lot of hate groups wouldn't target me.
Hey, I feel like it'd be less. I mean, that would exist. I think it would
I
be more like this guy was really sick of his 9 to 5 and he wants to take it out on innocent people for no reason. I don't.
I disagree with you. I think the hate groups would exist in a
I
far
think
greater capacity than those type of people.
I think those groups would be more prominent in the beginning, and then you can't survive in a survival scenario when every person's the only reason you guys are friends is because you all hate a group of people. I feel like that dynamic would fall apart later into the zombie apocalypse, like months in. And so
Sure.
you'd see these bands of like pillagers essentially
Hmm.
forming from these initial groups, and then it would disperse the infighting and dispersal would happen. And I feel like then there would be groups that rise up for the sake of taking this group's stuff for us, like
I think I
essentially
think I
bandits.
I think I would join bandit groups and then kill them all in their sleep.
Just like that, like it's easy. I feel like it'd be a lot harder. They'd probably have people on
I
watch and stuff.
well,
They're not
I
at this point. This is months in. Like no bandit
yeah,
groups aren't gonna
months
form
in.
days in. They
Well,
know what they're
they
doing at this point.
okay, but once I joined those bandit groups, like, I mean, I would probably join a slightly smaller scale one, and I could do some recruitment work. I'm sure there's other bandits
Recruitment work. I
who
need
are
your
with
papers.
me.
I need paperwork. Oh, is this your resume? Oh, you've
I,
killed 3 people? Wow, that's impressive. Dude behind you killed 5. What do you got to say about that?
well, I'm. If you kill anyone as you're joining this bandit group, already a murderer, you're going to be target number one for me to kill you.
No, but they wouldn't know that. And if it's a bandit group, they don't care about killing people. And to
No, but
keep up,
I'm the recruiter. They're not recruiting.
they're gonna be like,
So
"Hey, why'd you take the guy who's like lame-o and weak? This dude's like super buff. He was a bodybuilder, and now he's killed like 10 people with his bare hands. He would have been way more beneficial." You're like, uh,
no, I would be able to, like, I would have the opposite targeting of the bandit group. Like me recruiting, I would recruit the people the bandit group would not recruit.
yeah, but then they'd be like, "Hey, why are you recruiting lamos to our bandit group?
Well, no, what? Okay, let me backtrack so that you have a
Are you
proper
making
idea of
your
what I
own
mean.
bandit group?"
No, what I mean is while I'm in the bandit group, I would talk to people and suss out who's in the group because they want to pillage and who in the group is in it because they want to survive.
I thought you were talking about recruiting new people.
No, I'm talking about once
Oh,
I'm in there, I will suss out who's an asshole who wants to murder people and who just wants to survive. And once I get the people who just want to survive and see if they have morals to them, I will then coordinate killing all the assholes and then
yeah, I know what you mean.
starting to take away the people who just want to murder people.
You'll like turn the group from you'll like slowly it'll slowly turn into like a not asshole group over a period of time.
Exactly.
From the inside, you'll change the system.
Exactly.
Real question. How long into a zombie apocalypse would it take for you to think it's okay, now is when I'm going to start my own nation? Because there you got to think at the initial outbreak you're like, okay, well the government will clean it up, right? That's the
I'd
initial
hope not.
start. You'd think they would though cuz they have,
Sure.
resources and armies and shit. So you have that and you're like, okay, how long when you're going to give up on the old world returning? And would you be like, okay, time for like me to make my own shit, or like me and this group to make our own shit, and like build a
Um,
wall, like kind of like build a wall with a little town in it, and then expand and make your own city or whatever the fuck.
uh, so it would take basically as long as it took for me to understand that, like, the first time I get a clue that the government's not figuring this out. So like in The Walking Dead, which you used as an example, like in I forget the prison season,
Yeah,
is that like 3 or 4?
I don't remember.
Um, from then on out, when they meet like the governor,
Good.
they start getting like actual proof that the military is not gonna figure this out.
Yeah,
Because they go to like military camps and they see like crashed military helicopters and they start getting that feel. As
yeah.
soon as that sort of instance happens, where I'm like, okay, these are overrun military camps. There are no mass civilizations around. Once I can, once I get a clue that the government's not figuring this out and that this isn't going to just blow over, it will take up to the first point where someone looks to me for guidance. As soon as I
Make your
get,
own nation.
yeah,
Next day, where's the Mars flag?
no, like I wouldn't go that far into it because I feel like if I do that, then I will start losing followers.
Or
But as
you could
soon,
get more.
maybe the
Never know.
moment if I have a location where it's safe-ish, and then people start to look to me for like answers or guidance, okay, we are going to fortify this and we are going to start expansion.
Yeah.
It would take as long as it takes for someone to look to me for advice, or for me to successfully ingrain myself enough within a community to start being seen as a leader.
Okay, that makes sense. I can see that. I always thought that it would take for me, it would take a few years solely because, or let's say 5 years, and it's
Hmm.
solely because, like, say I get proof like 5 months in, like, oh, like the government, it's gone. It's just the this, at least the area the outbreak is. I don't know about the rest of the world because there's no communication anymore, but at
Hmm.
least in this area, this part of the world, it's like the a brand new frontier now. It's like we hit
Hmm.
the reset button on society. I would still wait just to be like, I gotta learn, people skills. I gotta learn, make sure I'm gonna, actually survive before I get my hopes up, start building nations and shit. Like, I
Hmm.
would want to, like, essentially, like, build a backlog of knowledge, so I'd wait a little longer than I think
Yeah,
you would.
I don't think I would wait very long at all because I would start doing the thing like Hilltop and Alexandria does in Walking Dead, where I'm gonna like once I have a fortified city, we start connecting. We send people out as
Via trade
scouts
routes and shit.
and start connecting and start developing those relationships with other like-minded groups that are setting up in other
Yeah.
areas. I think I would be very quick to. I would raid and like scavenge and that sort of stuff only as long as it took to get over the immediate aftermath of the fall. And then I would immediately start looking at like, okay, where's a good place to settle down, fortify, build a farm, and start moving on with life.
It's really fun to think about, like, zombie apocalypse happens, it's been 10, 15 years. Who's
Hmm.
going to start history? Who's going to start the new nation that becomes the first,
That's
like, big one? Like obviously the first nations that ever existed aren't still around. I guess
hmm
China technically counts, but that could be up for debate whether it's the same China. But
yeah,
like
yeah.
the what is it? What was the people? They lived in the dank river valley. Uh, they
We're talking
made the
about
Epic of
the
Gilgamesh.
Mesopotamians.
Yes, Mesopotamians. They were the first. We know they had a society and a culture
Yeah,
because of art and shit. Uh, there, use them as a real world example of, like,
sure.
how long do you think it would take for an important enough civilization to emerge post zombie apocalypse for 100 years down the line they're still known about via word of mouth, people, the first people writing new books and shit. How long do you think it would take, like, starting from day 1 of zombie apocalypse
Mhm.
to however long that time frame for, like, a first important enough civilization? Because there'll be a fuck ton before then
Yeah.
that last, like, 10 years, 15 years, and then they just collapse.
So I'm going to assume that we don't know everything about the zombie apocalypse because if it's exactly like The Walking Dead, we as a civilization already know just about everything we need to know.
Yeah.
Assuming that we don't know absolutely everything we need to know. Also, side note, real quick, there's a book series. It's the Rotten Ruin series, which is basically exactly what you described. It's zombie apocalypse that starts like 10 to 15 years in the future, and it's basically like it's how society has developed
Yeah.
beyond the initial fall. It's a pretty good book series. It starts to get really shit towards the end, but you know. Anyway, I think it would if we don't know everything about zombies, it would take I think it would take like 20, 30 years before we start getting a mass civilization like that.
Yeah.
But I think it would have an we would have a distinct advantage over the Mesopotamians because
Yeah.
we could still
You know.
scavenge useful technologies that we've developed,
Yes.
whereas of course they didn't have.
Yeah,
They
they
had
had
to
to
make
make everything. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it would take significantly less time to form a new nation, a new super nation, than it took the Mesopotamians to build that.
Super. I mean, the first one that's significant isn't going to be like America,
Yeah, I mean,
right? Rome.
a nation or entity that people would be talking about hundreds of years down the line.
Yeah,
If
that
the
lasted like
if
100, 200
humanity,
years
yeah,
itself.
I think it would. I would think that would happen after the first 20 to 30 years.
It's very interesting to think about, like,
Yeah, it is.
how, because it's essentially what would happen is it's a hard reset. but it's like everything would be sped up. It's like if you're playing a survival game on a server that has the gather rate of resources of like 2 times or 3 times.
Hmm.
So like it's primitive humans again, but they have all the knowledge and shit they would have already needed they would have needed to develop. They already have it. So it's essentially a speed run to back to where they were.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it would probably take literally like 100, 200 years to reach where we were previously
Yeah.
perfectly. Like factories making shit. And it would be like, "Oh, remember zombies? Yeah, I remember zombies. They're still around and like if you go far enough away." But like
That's another thing. It's like, is it if it's the Walking Dead style where everyone becomes a zombie?
yeah,
Obviously, zombies would never end. But if it's like you have to be bitten or infected to become a zombie, I think zombies would be wiped out
I think
within
yeah.
like 5 years.
That's actually a
Probably
cool
5 to 10 years.
another book, World War Z, the book.
Yeah.
They talk about that like because it's like an interview. It's the interviews of post apocalypse, right? Because they fixed it.
Yeah.
They talk about like yeah, shit breaks out still, like they have breakouts and stuff because it's like the bubonic plague. We got rid of the bubonic plague, but some motherfucker somewhere is gonna get it again because he like stuck
Yeah.
his hand in a rusty box from 200 years ago. So like
Yes.
it happens. So like it wouldn't be gone completely. The virus still exists in
Yeah.
nature, but I feel like real life zombie apocalypse happens now, and they're Walking Dead esque. Even if like you die, and no matter if you die, you still come back from as a zombie, even if you weren't bit. I
Hmm.
feel like even then we would probably not have an apocalyptic scenario. It would be
Yeah.
like I feel like zombie apocalypse show the only reason the Walking Dead universe exists is because in their universe zombies didn't exist as a foreign concept or it didn't exist
Yes.
as a monster concept. It was foreign
Yes.
to them. In ours we'd be like, okay, so this is the information we have. Okay, this is how we deal with it.
Hmm.
Like we already have these hypothetical
Yeah. Yeah.
scenarios that we can use as like a base. We can go, okay, well this the government is I feel like way more powerful. I feel like they nerf the government in those movies and shows
Oh,
because
absolutely.
like they got fucking nukes. When do they never nuke. Why not? They have nukes. No one ever nukes any zombies. They never do any like
Yeah.
it's weird. I don't know. The only
It,
way
it's
zombies could ever be a threat to the survival of humanity is if we're really dumb or like it was 200 years ago.
it's also it explains why The Walking Dead like starts like a month or two in advance because the whole thing is like Rick wakes up from the coma and zombies have been happening.
Yeah.
Because if they started out and they were like, okay, zombies are just now starting, there would be a lot more questions about, okay, why doesn't the government just deal with this?
They they made another Walking Dead show called Fear the Walking Dead,
Yeah, I've heard of it, haven't seen it.
and I've watched up until like whatever's on Hulu because I just like zombies. So even if it's a shit show, I'll fucking watch
Yeah.
it. And it's not very good.
Did you ever watch Z Nation?
I watched a little bit. It was a little too cheesy,
Yeah.
just a tad.
Yeah.
They call them zombies. That was like the first. But I was watching Fear the Walking Dead, and that they start pre-outbreak, like normal society for like an episode or
Hmm.
something, or like half an episode. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of those questions. There's like a riot. There's like riots of people who are like the cops are killing this guy for no reason, which makes sense in this society, right?
Hmm.
So they would see a dude who looks feral getting the shit beat out of him by policemen. They'd be like, well, he's getting the shit beat out of him for no reason. So there's that, like they made that. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like comparing with real world stuff, and then
Yeah.
it started getting even more like, why is there no like, why have they not like started just going through cities and purging zombies? They
Yeah.
just all the military is like doing is making little fenced areas and being dicks to the people in the fences. Like that was an arc in the show. Is they're in a military quarantine and none of them's doing anything. They're just sitting around being assholes to each other. It's like
Yeah.
go kill the zombies. If
Yeah.
there's no zombies, you can't make more zombies as easily. And just shoot anyone who's dying of old age. Boom. Problem solved.
Well,
Like it's like
no, I agree, but that's like dark.
yeah, but like you gotta, well, not when they're like there's a period in between death and becoming a zombie. Destroy the
That's
brain in that period,
yeah.
and you're fine.
going back to Rotten Ruin real quick, they have it as a part of their lore because they have it the Walking Dead way, where if you die, no matter what, you
Yeah.
will come back as a zombie. So in their lore, when people go to bed at night, they have locks on their doors,
Yeah.
that so that when they come back if they die in their sleep, come back as a zombie, they won't be able to unlock those doors.
Yeah.
Like they have key locks.
Yeah, it would make perfect like I feel like we develop shit like literally weeks in to like counteract people dying in their sleep becoming zombies. You'd be like, yeah, it's common practice in this village we've developed to handcuff yourself to your bed. It's like, boom, problem solved. They're not gonna go
It,
anywhere.
it's really fun to think of hypothetical, but in actuality, if it started like right now, we would solve it quick.
Of a lot of the apocalyptic scenarios in society like, that could happen to society, I'd pick zombies in a lot of them because like you do not want a nuclear apocalypse. You don't want to nuke. The easiest one to survive would be like an EMP, like the sun does that thing that like wipes out our technology, and then it's just a bunch of people without technology. Boom. Oh, it's wow. We're in the 50s now. Like, God forbid, I can't go on YouTube.
God
Oh
forbid.
no, like that's the most mellow fucking. Oh no, we're at the status of half the world was already at. Oh no.
Yeah.
But then like zombies is like, oh, now there's a threat, I guess, kind of. Just stay away from them, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You have it's just knowing
We've
how the world works, you know that people who make zombie stories really have to stretch to make it work.
Yeah. We have to we've had 2 episodes of our 6 about zombies now.
Well, we talked about zombies for like 10 minutes in the other one. I know because as I said, I did the skimming through. But
Yeah.
we did I on that one? Some of them I haven't.
You ever seen 30 Days a Night?
Don't know what that is.
It's a vampire movie where up in Alaska, in a town where they get 30 days of night, in a row.
Oh, I've heard of this.
The vampires come and they're trying to like murder the whole town.
Yeah, I heard of this. They wouldn't vampires be like, "Yo, Alaska's the shit." For like a certain amount of time, we could just vibe.
Listen. I may or may not have read the Twilight books, and seen the movies and shit. That's their whole thing. It's like a lot of them are from Alaska and they go back to Alaska during the course of the series and shit.
I mean, Alaska would be the shit. Can they not die of cold, like freezing to death?
No, not in
Why
the
don't
Twilight
they just go to Antarctica? Antarctica gets nighttime for like 6 months.
Because like there's a point where it's like you still want to be a part of a human civilization.
So
what do you mean? Also, they still need animals to like eat.
Can they eat animals?
Yeah.
They don't have to eat humans?
No. I think that's like a thing not just in Twilight, but in a bunch of zombie stuff where it's or not zombie, vampire stuff. Yeah, in the Twilight
I don't know enough zombie or not zombie, vampire like stories.
In the Twilight universe, yeah, there's like it's a very divisive like political issue amongst the vampires.
That sounds
like
so
the
stupid.
vampire civilization.
It would make sense to exist. It would. It makes perfect sense. Like a vampire, like especially if there's a large number of them, they're essentially a different species. They would have their own political system, but it sounds stupid, and I don't know why it does.
They have like a vampire civilization where that's like preserving the old way of vampirism, and they're all assholes. And then there's like factions that form that are like, we're not going to eat people.
Yeah, it's like,
and they are like pariahs in a way because they don't subscribe to the typical vampirism like society. Have you? There's actually the Vampire Diaries. I know you haven't seen it because you just mentioned how you don't watch vampire stuff. It's
is that
pretty
the
good.
one on Netflix where it like looks like a romantic like something my mom would read, like the cover?
Yes. Now that's the thing.
I don't know if I'd be able to watch that.
The central concept of the Vampire Diaries is like a love triangle romance thing. It goes away from that like very quickly. I think that's a lot of people are like, the Vampire Diaries? That sounds so fucking stupid. It's actually really good, and like a whole big plot piece is that like one of the main dudes only eats animals
Mm.
and shit like
we're
that.
we're getting kind of far into the episode, but I have
Yeah.
to bring this one last thing up because you reminded me of it. Romantic shows that focus on a small character arc, like romance shows or movies, a lot of them have no business being as good at world building as they are. Because they don't, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But they do.
Yeah.
Like, my mom watched this one show that's like a woman who can go back in time via whatever. I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
it is. And she goes back to colonial time and lives in the colonial time for, and she gets in like romance stuff with the colonial people. And it's like, there's like a lore to why she could do
Yeah.
this and all this. It's
Yeah.
like, you don't need that, but they do it. And it's like, God, stop making me care about the universe it's in.
Yeah.
I don't want. I've never watched it. I don't even. I know it's a book or something.
Just
Never
a
read it.
title
I know
drop.
it exists though.
On the time traveler's wife, is that what you've just described basically, where it's like there's so much more like lore and shit that you're like, that's kind of cool, but like stop, this is just a cheesy fucking romance movie.
It's like, I, stop making me want to know more about your lore. I never actually. I don't. I've never had that scenario because I never read or watch romance stuff because I don't find it interesting personally. But
You're on Netflix all the time. You should watch The Vampire Diaries and let me know how shitty you think it
I
is.
will probably watch 30 seconds of it and not be able to because I have a, if it's any form of cheese, I can't handle it. I have a very low cringe tolerance. So low, in fact, if
Yeah,
I
but it
see
gets
someone
good.
like across the street walk into a pole, I'll look away and recoil. I can't.
It gets really good though.
Maybe I'll let you know if I do, but I doubt I will.
It's really good though.
Anyway, we're getting a little long. Any final word? Any final word? That, oh, kind of on theme with our last couple topics. Final words.
uh, uh, I'm trying to think of like really funny final words for like my death. Can't think of any at
Zombies
the
don't
moment.
drink milk.
Zombies don't drink milk. As always, you've made it this far. Love you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Let us know in the
appreciate
comments if for some reason you listened to this entire fucking spiel.
it.
Like, subscribe. You know how YouTube works.
Yeah, tell us if
Love you.
you would survive a zombie apocalypse. Deuces.